All right, we want to say fair use. We're going to read, we're going to listen to this brother read from this book. I should be reading from it, but let's see. I might. No, I'm gonna let him. We're gonna use his video. I'm sure he don't mind. He's done a lot of research. This is his research. It don't belong to me. But I'm gonna make some uh, do some commentary behind it and its education purposes. I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but I just want to show you that there's other books besides what Nate and the Israelite camps are putting out. There's other books that tell the true story. These are older books than what the books they have, that where the explorers show exactly, uh, this is their interpretation of what they found when they got here. One of the books is this is the book we're going. This is a book we're going to be reading out of it. Now, uh, we're going to show you here uh, what the scripture and it's going to prove what Yahweh Christ was talking about in Matthews 25 and 13. Let's go there. Okay, we're going to go to Matthews 25 and 13, and we're going to read that for you right quick. And this is what the explorers, observers put in their books, what was happening between the races. So let's see, 25 and 13. Let me go back here. 25, I think. It might be, 13, 25 and 13. Let's see if we can get it up here. No, I think it must be 13 and 25. Okay. This is Matthew 13 and 25. I'm sure you guys have heard me. I've seen, if you watch my videos, I use this scripture a lot. I knew this other material was out here because that's why I was convinced I did my research all right with the other explorers and the other people who wrote their account of what was taking place between the sowing seed from the other nations. We're gonna listen to a little bit of it, quite a bit of this, but we're not gonna look at his whole video. But this is what Yahweh was talking about. This is the parable of the sower, right? Another parable, verse 24. Another parable he put forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that soweth seed in the field. And so that sow good seed in his field. He's describing the kingdom of heaven. Who is he calling the kingdom of heaven? The Israelites, or the kingdom of heaven. The Israelites are the kingdom of heaven. Okay? So he's describing the kingdom of heaven through a parable. He's showing you what the people said. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So he's showing you what the people from the kingdom of heaven, what would be happening to them. Okay? But while men slept, this is describing the kingdom of heaven. All right? They were asleep. The kingdom of heaven went to sleep. They lost their identity, their self identity, lost the image of themselves. They didn't know who they were, because you are who your ancestors are. You are who your fathers are, right? You are who your father is, right? And your mother, whatever they input in you, that's who you are, right? So while men slept, his enemy came and sowed terror among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade sprung up, let's stop right there, and went his way. He sowed terror among the wheat and went his way. We're going to we're going to look in this book that we're about to read. We're about to let the brother read Kuimeo, and it's going to tell you why the enemy did it. I've been telling you, but he's going to show you he's going to show you in real time. I say in real time because we're still in the time, in the end time. And they are given their explanation. They wrote it down why and what their benefit is pretty much the same benefit of the wheat and the tare. The tare is the weed, the Gentiles, the natural Gentiles. That's what the tare is. So we're gonna get back to the video. But this, go through and read this whole parable. It'll tell you the whole thing. What I just said is right here in this parable. Then you jump down here. The enemy that sold them, verse 39, the enemy that sold them is the devil. We know who the devil is on the earth today that can sow seed in Israelites' field. You know, the harvest is the end of the world. Now, at the end of the world, after they had did this seed sowing, you know, and the reapers are the angels, okay? The reapers are the angels. They're gathering up the wheat, the Israelite camp, the Israelite offspring, Jacob's offspring. As therefore tares are gathered and burned in the fire. The tares will be gathered and burned in the fire. The tares will be gathered in the last days when the angels say, okay, let's get the wheat ready to be bundled up and gathered up, right? And at the same time, you know, he's gathering up the tare too. So the tare is going to be gathered up and burnt in the fire. So shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth the angels, and they shall gather out of kingdoms all things that offend. You see what's happening? That's deep right there. That's what's happening too. We see that's happening right now. He's gathering up in Armageddon. The army's going to fight each other. He's got everything that offend us and offend the Most High God and cut us off from coming back to our identity. He's going to gather them up. And them which do iniquity. Let's see. And shall cast them into a furnace of fire, the lake of fire. There shall be wailing, gnashing of teeth, and then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ear to hear, let them hear. Okay? Who has an ear to hear, let them hear. So I hope you got an ear to hear it. Because let's see. Okay. Let's read this other part here. Okay. The wild men slept, okay. But when the blade sprung up and brought forth fruit, blade sprung up, brought forth fruit. That's offspring. Then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the household came and said unto him, Sir, did not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then has it tares? Why does it have tare in the field if you sow good seeds? The Israelites were in the field. In other words, you can look at this twofold. He chose the Israelites He chose the Israelites to be his chosen people on the earth. He chose them out from among the nations. And so, but then at the end of time, the Israelites had all kind of DNA offspring mixed with them, and you can always tell the tare when they mix with the Israelites. You'll be able to tell them. Why? Because the tare will grow up and get far above the wheat. Them that will be with you, and the stranger among you shall get up high above you. See what I mean? The stranger among you shall get up high above you. So we know, the camps, that's one of their main things. They say, well, if they ain't the Israelite, talking about the pale-faced Israelites, we're gonna straighten all this out with the video. Okay? If they ain't the Israelites, talking about the pale-face in all the land, Southern Caribbean, South America, Southern, Central, and North America. We've got these mulatto people. They say that they are not Israelites, they are not Negro. They say they are white. We are white. So they join their bastard father. I mean, they joined their dirty daddy. Okay? They joined their dirty daddy when it came time. We're looking at that right now. And what did he do? The Most High sent an evil spirit on him to gather up his own children and get them ready to be burned in the fire. And another thing I'm going to tell you, what he did, he also gathered up Israelites for the fire, okay? Let's see. He said, you sow good seed in the fields, so where then did what are these tares doing here? And he said and the Most High said unto the servant, an enemy has done this thing. You shall be sold unto your enemies, Deuteronomy 28:68, and you shall be sold unto your enemies. So it gives you the time frame and what he's talking about when the enemy sowed his seed in the Israelites' ground. It's the end of time is what they're talking about, right? It didn't happen. It did not happen before the Northern Kingdom came to North America. So that prophecy, if you want to use it, a cake unturned, speckled bird, it's out of you're using it out of context when you say, hey, that proves that the Northern Kingdom gonna be white. That's wrong. Go read it again. Read the whole story. You'll get the context. You can't cherry pick it, because when you cherry pick it out of its place, out from among the rest of the story, then you're going to take it out of context. You're going to teach it out of context. Will you then that we go and gather them up? The tare. He's talking about the tare, because they know who they are. You can tell them. They don't look like the wheat. Not exactly. They got their own look. They look like tares. They don't look like Israelites to me, Donald Trump said. They don't look like Indians to me. But the Most High said to the servants, no, least while ye gather up the tare, ye root up the wheat with them. So we ain't going to be able to tell the difference between whether you are a wheat or a tare. Now we can tell, when we can look at Africans and tell the difference between them and Shem, Jacob. We can tell Ham between Jacob. You can tell the difference. Facial features. You can tell the white man between Indians, Esau, because God took his melanin to identify him. We call it color. Color. You don't even know your colors, but still, that's what happened. And if you have, what we're going to show you is who was sowing a seed among our people in these last days in slavery, from when they first started bringing us over here. When they first came over here on them ships, they brought a few Africans. All of them stopped by and got a few Africans, but they didn't transfer no 200 or 300 million. And then that's what we got down in North. We got in South and Central America. We got 200 or 300 million people saying they was brought here on slave ships. We're going to look at all of that. He's going to tell you in this book. He's going to read. I'm going to let him read it because, his reading is better than mine. But we're going to say fair use, education purposes. This is going to the people who might come by my channel and check me out just to be nosy or just to, you're not stealing materials. You can use every bit and piece that the Spirit of God leads you to. You can put in your own words, so you don't seem like you plagiarizing or whatever. But this concerns us today. What's happening right here, the most Yahweh Shai is showing us, because it's going to be one of our stumbling blocks. One of our stumbling blocks in these last days. So he said, no, lest you gather up the tare, ye root also up the wheat with them. Here it is right here, this 30th verse. Let both grow together. That's why they're in the ghetto with us. That's why they grew up in the ghetto with us, and they're going to show you in this book that this is the reference. This is the reference to the wheat and the tare. It has something to do with the offspring of Esau. It's talking about the offspring of Esau, the male. The offspring would be the male. Serpent seed. The serpent seed. This is describing the serpent seed that will be used as pawns against us, and they would be happy to do it. So the Most High have to gather them up and move them out of the way. We looked at that last part of this parable. It says that all that offend against us gathering back together and keeping the Most High's laws and commandments for safety will be taken out of the way. So while we see Donald Trump doing a lot of the bidding, the devil works for God. See, we get that in our minds. The devil works for God. He said, I'm going to have them do it. The devils. That's their mess they made. We're going to have them clean it up. So when we look out here, we say, what's happening in these last days that can would put this in application to today, for today's events? Well, we see ICE agents. You can call them the Lord's angels, because he ministered to them to go out there. They are men and women who can't think for themselves. They have to be controlled by a handler. They can't, they're not confrontational to their leaders, and so they'll do whatever they tell them to do. They're not educated to humanity. They don't even think like that. That's not how they think. So you gather them both. I will say to the reapers. The reapers are the angels. We just read that. Gather ye together first the tare. Gather the tare up first. Ain't that what's happening? Ain't that what Donald Trump is doing? He's gathering up the tare first. That's what the Most High got him doing. He's getting the angels overseeing them right now. They want to stop. They complain, and he said, no, 14th Amendment. And then he said, no, he put out this new bill and said, he's saying what this author is saying from this book, and this is not the only book. It's good. It's a good reference. You're going to see. but it's more than one author back in the 17 and 1600s that's telling the same story. Why? Maybe the Most High put it in their spirit because he knew that these people were going to steal our identity and pose and pose as Israelites, sheep clothing, right? Okay, so yeah, let them both grow together until the harvest, and in the end time, that's now, of the harvest. It's been harvesting. He's been harvesting because he's been sealing the foreheads of his saints that, keep the commandments, or, you know, whatever whatever your heart, whatever your works is, uh, you'll be counted faithful because, and you'll be an Israelite. He's gathering up only repentant Israelites, okay, for use in the kingdom, besides stubble and fire. Okay, gather together first to tear and bind them in bundles to burn. He bind them up to burn in bundles. All praise to the Most High. But gather the wheat unto my barn. It's two separate places, right? So that's how you know. Now let's get back to this video. Okay, in this book I showed you, this book, what we're about to start reading will be on page 270. All right, let's start reading. Let's listen.
A woman should be paid £10, and they get paid for doing it. The relations of the Indian to the white man or the European, right? Free white includes so-called black Europeans. And to the Negro, what Negro? And the interrelations of the three races add to the complexity of this study. The complexity of this study. So triracial, they're trying to say, triracial, huh? They're trying to say Indian, white, and Negro. Mm-hmm. You know, those are all tags, right?
Yeah,
you gotta break yourself from all those attacks.
They've always used those particular groups to confuse and shred us and degrade us down to nothing. And they play like three card Molly. You guess. You gotta guess. We don't know. We ain't gonna tell you where the card. We ain't gonna tell you who is who. But we're gonna play this Molly game, this shell game with you. And while you trying to guess who you are and who they are, we're gonna be stealing the rest of your resources from you. Okay, let's listen.
We're breaking this down, The white couldn't include black folks. The Indian couldn't include black folks. And the Negro, you already know. So it all could be the same. So that's what I'm saying. But it has a footnote here, number 1.
So what he's saying is, when you say European, Negro, and Indians, they could all be the same. Because remember, we were in the Renaissance. Coming into the Renaissance, we were coming from Europe. We ruled Europe almost 800 years or more. And then they showed up because they had been in the cave 1,000 years. They've been in those caves 1,000 years. Study Job. So we're going to listen to the brother here. Let's keep listening.
Kenneth Porter's relation between Indians and Negroes within the present limits of the United States. I happen to have this available as well. Let me know if you want me to read it. I'll go ahead and read that article as well. So this is a sort. They're all saying the same thing. Coming back to the book, there was much intermixture of the blood of the three races, And there were perplexing problems resulting from the difficulty in distinguishing the racial identity of these races. Because you added hijack plus confusion plus your modern classifications of people.
See, he said it was confusion between the races of people. That was the 3-card Molly, the shell game. That's what they wanted you to. That's the position they want you to hold. You know, you couldn't identify yourself, and you sitting there looking right at yourself in the mirror, because they was telling you, no, if you do that, we're gonna kill you. If you tell your children who you really is. And then when they got that generation of people off the earth, they started reteaching our children in these boarding schools, on these plantations, and on these reservations. They start teaching their identity away from them. You know.
Now it's difficult to even admit it, right? To distinguish, because it's all hijacks, man. In many instances, the slave code was applied to men who were in reality Indians. The slave code was applied to Indians. You guys paying attention?
Yeah.
We're going to get some drop in this chapter right here, right? So, and we'll pull out the babies and dodge the hijacks, right? So, the slave codes were applied to men who were in reality Indians, those styled Negroes. They were styled Negroes. What does that mean? Indians, those styled Negroes. So that's what I was saying, goes back to my point in the beginning. You're saying that in the slave period, the relations of Indians to white man to the Negro. And you just admitted that there's Indians being styled Negroes, right? So what Negroes are you talking about? That doesn't mean African, is what I'm trying to say. And in many cases, we find a conflict of the law of the land with the influences of human nature. After the colonial period, it is found that there were some efforts made. In many cases, we find a conflict of the law of the land with the influences of human nature. After the colonial period, it is found that there were some efforts made to promote the intermarriage of the Indian and the white man, or European, so-called white. Such efforts were probably the result of the experience and influence of agents and traders who had lived upon the frontier. Sir William Johnson is a distinguished example of such an agent. He had an Indian wife and children born of this marriage, okay? So a lot of Europeans mixing with the Indians, having children, their children now just Indians, but they had a so-called white or European. This could be a black European, right? Until they can prove it, I'm going with like what Benjamin Franklin was saying, that all these people are Swarthy, right? And his son. Until proven, until unproven, right? The burden of proof is on you. Show me that where it says he's pale skin or white in any of contemporary descriptions. You know, if so, then okay. He had an Indian wife and children. He was very faithful to his Indian wife, and it is said that his great influence over the Six Nations was in part due to this marriage relation. All right? Influence over the Six Nations because of his wife, the connections he had. Of course it was. He advised other men to follow his example. He's like, hey, listen, man, I got me an Indian wife. Now I'm kind of almost running things in the tribe. I got clout now because of her. So he's like, you guys should do the same. The constant danger of Indian attacks upon the people of the frontier was probably the cause of the presentation in 1784 of a bill to the Virginia legislature providing that every so-called white man who married an Indian woman, or a European who married a European woman, an Indian woman, should be paid 10 pounds. And they get paid for doing it. So they get a nice Indian wife, then they get some connections to the tribal government, and then they get paid for it. You guys hearing this? And 5 for each child born. Then they get make money off the children. Wow.
Okay. So this sounds more realistic to me. If you know who the Edomites came over here to get paid. They tell you to this day, all these other nations said they came over here to get paid, not to love us. And so this was the first form of making us into merchandise. This was one of the first references we can go back and look at it and apply it to what we know happened in the past and what is still happening with the birth certificate fraud and all of that. So let's keep listening.
Such a marriage, and that if any European woman married an Indian, she should be entitled to 10 pounds with which the country court should buy them livestock. Wow. That once each year the Indian husband to this woman should be entitled to 3 pounds with which the county court should buy clothes for him. That every child born to the Indian man and European woman should be educated by the state between the ages of 10 and 21 years. Patrick Henry was the author of this bill, and it had the full support of John Marshall.
Remember that name, John Marshall, right? John Marshall. So you see, that's how they replenished the slavery. The white man sowed his seed in it. It was not against the law, and not only that, the black man was able to sow his seed into the white woman. That was not against the law starting off. And that is another reason why the Most High, Jesus, Yahweh said, you don't know who is who, because all the mulattoes look alike. They could be white men with black women, or they could be black men with white women. But that's the new race. It's called the Ter, right? It's when Esau is the father, it's the Ter. Now we have some black men, some black children from black men. They don't want to be black either. So they most likely will try to be as white as they can, right? Education, everything they do is for the white man's approval. That's the Mexicans, that's all the people who actually in this world today. That's all of the mulatto people. They want to be and accepted by the ruling class, and we understand that. If you didn't have to live a slave life, and you had some means to get you out of there, to get you out of that category, then you would do it. You would use it. That's what they're doing now. So yeah, let's keep listening.
Bill passed the House on its first and second reading, but it finally failed to pass, possibly because Patrick Henry, its sponsor, had been called away from the House to assume more important duties. It appears also that in 1824, William H. Crawford advocated a similar bill before the Congress of the United States. In this case, again, the policy did not prove to be popular, or a popular one, and the bill failed to pass. As a rule, the European man disdained legal marriage with the Indian. This attitude toward legal marriage was, in the case of the Indian, as in the case of the Negro. Just like the Negro, the Indian is the Negro, but you just told us the Indians were styled Negroes, so you already messed up. We already know Indians were classified as Negroes, so what Negro? Sounds like the same people to me, followed by such a sensuous intermixture of the Indian and the European race. And you know where it says white, I keep saying European, I'm gonna keep doing it because a lot of these so-called whites are black Europeans, guys. It's status, just like Negroes is status, not complexion, not origin of from another continent. In this respect, the observer would seem to be correct in his conclusion that there is a degree of repulsion between the Anglo-Americans and the Indians, which prevents their intermixing. There is abundant evidence of much promiscuous intermixture of the two races. In all the territory east of the mountains, such relations were no doubt frowned upon or ignored, as in the case of similar relations between European men and slaves. So again, what slaves? If Indians were being enslaved too, so see how you're trying to separate? Now you're saying, oh, with Indian and now with slaves, well, that could be the same thing too.
Okay, now you see, they want to try to say the Indians were destroyed, the Northern Kingdom was destroyed, and not only that, they said that the Portuguese and all the enslavers, because you asked, when did the Northern Kingdom go into slavery? We know everybody from each tribe didn't go in, but it showed how they transferred. Some people, we didn't go on in slavery on slave ships, so that's slave ship transportation into slavery. It was only for a certain people, but they say the camps and people who follow their ideology on this thing, this transfer, say that they took the Northern Kingdom over in Portuguese and all over through there. Well, if the Northern Kingdom was pale faced and lost their melanin through this process, uh, uh, offspring through this process of mixing, then there should be some pale face Northern Kingdom, Negro looking Northern Kingdom in Portuguese and all over there. It should be the pale face one, not the dark skin. We know we got dark skin over there, dark skinned Hebrew Israelites and whatever. We know they're there. But where is the Indians they took? The Indians they took from here, the Northern Kingdom that was here 3,000 years. They took them back and spread them all over. Where are they? I don't see them in Europe and no other place. The same mulatto people that is calling themselves Hispaniards and they calling themselves Native American Indians. I don't see y'all in no other place. So if you the Israelites, you should be scattered all over. But what I do see is the prophecy where the Most High is having the angels gather you up and put you and take you from among us. Right? And so that part needs to this is going to be probably one of the videos I use to show that the Northern Kingdom was not white when they got here. The Northern Kingdom was Negroid. They were not white when the colonizers got here. That's of big importance. So let's keep listening.
You guys understand the context we have already all these years? Are we getting drops still? It says, but on the frontier, uncontrolled by the opinions or prejudices of his fellows, the European man mingled his blood freely with that of the Indian. Oh yeah, he did.
Oh yeah.
It is recorded that it is the custom when a European...
Now, that is also talking about Judah. We can be talking about Judah when they brought Judah over here. And plus, Judah fled here first. And I'm pretty sure Judah didn't have a hard time finding a Northern Kingdom wife. I'm pretty sure they didn't have no hard time. They never did have a hard time with it, gathering, having offspring. Even with Moab, we have offspring. Now, I'm a Vietnam era veteran, and a lot of the people that had went to Vietnam, Cambodia, and southern Vietnam, you could rent a Vietnamese woman, and have her as to be your housekeeper and your homemaker, and whatever you wanted, you just pay Papa San, and he'd sell you your daughter. His daughter, you pay every 30 days. If y'all build a relationship, you could keep paying 30 days and even pay to marry her. But if it was just something happened where you didn't want to be with the person, you could just rent another one at Papa San. Edomites, they were Edomites. You can rent you a woman. I have friends that, went to Okinawa, the same thing, all over and through there when they were setting that up. So, yeah, let's keep listening.
Man enters an Indian village or nation with the intention of residing there for some time, if only a few months for him to have a wigwam or a hut erected in which he lives with some young squaw, whom he either courts to his embraces or receives from her parents as his wife and servant, damn, during the time of his stay with them. White men or Europeans were sometimes adopted into the tribes. Yep. And there are reports of cases on the frontier in which European children, kidnapped when very young, were reared by the Indians. That was definitely true. We've seen a lot of cases like that and a lot of stories. When they became of age, they married with the Indians, you see? And they
Now you see that? Now you say, well, how did they use the Indians in slavery? Well, after they got the generation out there that was fighting them so hard after they died off, it was easy to go after the kids. You had them on the plantation and reservations. But before then, they would kidnap our kids. They're easier targets. They would kidnap our kids and take them back and raise them as slaves. And I'm pretty sure when 500 years, man. 500 years, that's a long time. Look how many mulattoes are in the world today, a whole new race, right? That's being gathered up. Gathered up. So it was easy for them to brainwash us when they're catching us as kids, treating you like a good house nigga and training you in what they wanted you to say. If you ever had to explain your identity as a mulatto, you would say, I'm white. My daddy was white. And a lot of times it would be true. So let's keep listening. That's how they got a hold to our children and miseducated their image away from them.
forget he was from a European. You forget, oh, that's where the last name came from. Oh, yeah, that's where it came from. He married with them. European men were sometimes adopted again into tribes, right? Okay, he reared Indians. Yeah, he reared Indians very young. When they became of age, they married with the Indians. No inducements are said to have been able to bring such persons back to their own people. Why would they want to go back to their crazy society? They're living nice with the Indians, Descendants of mixed unions were sometimes the leaders. Yup. And these descendants of the European and Indian became the leaders of depredations on the frontier.
Okay, so you see, let's hear that again. I'm thinking it's saying as the Moors begin to mingle with the Northern Kingdom, they begin to be chiefs and leaders in the community of the northern and southern tribes coming together as one. Was more government. They worked more government with the upcoming European George Washington group.
Soldiers on the frontier are reported as having Indian wives. All right, and they got sources for that. We're going to definitely get into that. Henry Timberlake, Memoirs of Lieutenant Henry Timberlake. Examples are to be found in which the Indian squaw of some trader disclosed the plans of the tribe on the occasion of plotted attack upon the European settlers. Wow. You see, they snitched. Damn, they snitched on their own people to save the Europeans.
See that?
Missionaries complained bitterly.
Ain't that happening today? The terror is taking the sides of the European to save their own skin against us, against their ancestors down in the jungles of South and Central America, the Caribbean islands. don't they all go against us just like the rest of the 83?
Because of the relations of European men with the Indian women, all right? It was happening a lot, guys. This is the reality. This is what I'm trying to say. You have, Black European and American indigenous. Some people have more Indian blood. Some people have more Black European blood. It's all good, but you're all Indians either way. So in 1801.
Okay, now what he's saying, he kind of he's he's the indigenous. He has an indigenous look like the Israelite camps, and cake unturned. I don't know what his relatives and ancestors look like, but he claims to be an Israelite, and I ain't doubting him, and I hope he is. But he's been working. He's been working faithfully to help us get our identity back. So let's listen.
A missionary to the Chickasaw tribe complained that he undertook to admonish an Indian of considerable influence on taking a second wife while his first wife was living with him. He replied, "There is A. B. meaning a European man. He has 5 wives, and I might not have 2, and may I not have at least 2? How come he gets to have 5 wives and I can't even have 2? I can't even have 2." Another missionary writes from Indiana in 1818, "I can, with truth, inform you that there are among the Indians European men who have a dozen wives." All right? Among the Indians, it says European men. They now in the tribe, now they got 14. What? How many wives? Damn. A dozen wives, 12. You guys hear that? In 1824, still another missionary informed John C. Calhoun, then the Secretary of War, "All they know of us in relation to morals has been learned from those that have been among them, and painful to relate from this source they have learned nothing but the most libidinous and abandoned licentiousness." European men living among the Indian tribes and the offspring of such men and the Indian women exercise a powerful influence over the Indian, and this influence must be given special consideration in the study of racial attitudes in the Southwestern Territory. In all the seaboard states, there was much mingling of the blood of the Indian and the Negro. Again, in all the seaboard states, there was much mingling of the blood of the Indian and the Negro. So who's the Negro? We know who the Indian is, right? So what Negro? Show me the sources. Show me the genealogy.
Okay, so the Negro is the misclassification that, is them gathering up the Israelites and reclassifying them. The Negro is the Indian, right? The Negro is the Indian. The Negro is the enslaved black man, because they are the same people and they knew it, and what they did, it fulfilled prophecy, is they mixed us together, right? They mixed us together. But not only that, these other people that he's referring to, they're not all Israelites who fled over here. Judah, the southern king, who fled over here to escape the wrath of King Isabella and the queen was Elizabeth. No, it's can't think of her name right now. But so, and the white man, he was calling himself an American or whatever, white men living among them Indian tribes and the offspring of such men, and the Indian woman exercised a powerful influence over the Indians. So so the mother, they started taking, okay, the mother is the matriarch. We want, take the power from the man. That's Esau again. That's the devil in the garden. take the power from the man and give it to the woman, right? So we see it starting here.
Show me everything. That doesn't mean African, right? We know Indians were being reclassified as Negroes and also Black Europeans as well. So it's something to really, really think about. And that's the source. Lawbearer Hugh, present state of Virginia. Okay, the present state of Virginia. In these states, the European man enslaved the Indian and debased the Indian women as he did the Negro woman.
All right.
What Negro again? See how they're trying to separate Indian with Negro.
So we just basically want to show you that there's are other books that talks about this classification and the mixing of the race by the Europeans, and it was okay. It was I'll just say lawful as a word I can use, right? It was lawful for the slaves and the white man and the black man to mix with any woman he wanted to. It was all, they paid him to do it. He showed you where they paid them to do it, to have offspring by the as many, you know. They didn't pay the buck after a while, but that buck went around after they paid the black man and called him a buck and encouraged him to have sex with as many women on the plantation. So that was to produce and replenish the slaves. All right. So Negro women, legal marriage with the Indians. The Indians. Now, who are the Indians? You said legal marriage. Negro women married to Indians. So I guess we talking about the Jews who came over here on slave ships or ran to this land and joined with the Indians. Their women had legal marriage with these particular Negroes that got over here on some kind of ship and turned them in, and whoever was in charge of the expedition, they classified them as Negroes. The Jews, they classified them as Negro because they were coming from Negro land. So you can really basically get that from there. They were coming from Negro land, and when they got here, people called themselves after another ancestry. So that's basically, you can go look through the whole video and see. And we haven't even scratched the surface really on the video. You can go watch it. There's some good stuff coming out of this book, and his commentary is good. We thank him. But yeah, that's why the Most High let Donald Trump pass this bill. And you know, most Israelites, they won't even look at it. They scared. It's a trick. It's a trick. No, it's the Most High trying to wake everybody up, as many as he can get not to pass, to come back to him, because they got their identity back. Once you get your identity back, man, they can't do nothing to hurt you. So all praise to the Most High, and we're gonna end it right here.